Hello, Wankers.
What's up, Vankahs? It's just the boys today. Matt is still on his honeymoon. And you know why he chose this weekend, Guenther? He said, it's Monaco. Who cares? It's boring. I just want to be on my honeymoon for Monaco. And I'll let these guys talk about the boring race that was. But that's not what happened, was it?
No, it was looking like, and then Stroll saved the weekend, you know. So, but if he's not here, who is going to be the dick today towards me, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to kind of bring.
You will not match him being a dick, you know.
Listen, so. I'm an actor, okay? I went to Carnegie Mellon University. I'm a classically trained Guenther. I can go. Guenther, can you explain this to me? Can you explain this to me?
No. But you are
That's pretty good, right?
You are acting. With him, it's in him, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he doesn't need to act, you know.
There's a quote from one of the Batman movies where Bane says, "You simply adopted the dark. I was born in it."
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Matt was born in it. Matt was born in it. But listen, we've got so much to discuss today. We've got Kimi Antonelli, George Russell tragedy. We've got Charles Leclerc, brakes. We're going to be talking about brakes. We need you to explain some of this to us, Guenther. Also, the penalties, the chaos that happened there. Pierre Gasly is trying to appeal his penalties, get his podium reinstated. And then, apparently, the Red Bull engine is the best engine in the game. Was this a shocker to you, Guenther?
Yes. But, I mean, I guess it's the best combustion engine in the game, you know. So, but then again, is it a shocker? Maybe not, because there's a lot of people from Mercedes there. I mean, I think the more than half of the people, more than 50% of the people doing the Red Bull engine is Mercedes, former Mercedes people. So, yeah, and they had a lot of knowledge and good engineers, you know. So.
Well, we'll discuss that. There's so much to talk about on this episode of Vankah Hours, part of the Vox Media Network. But before we get to that, cue the music.
No Fox smash, my dog. I'm done the fucking Steiner and I'm back for more. No Fox smash, my dog. I'm done the fucking Steiner and it's time for Vankah Hours, baby. Vankah Hours, baby. Vankah Hours, baby.
And we're back. Okay, Guenther, I need your Rockstar and Wanker for the Monaco Grand Prix. Guenther, who is your Rockstar for Monaco?
Rockstar is pretty simple. It's Kimi. Oh, I mean.
Yeah.
There's no way around him this weekend, you know. There's like, or last weekend, you know. It's like, man, the guy was just good, you know. I mean, for a 19-year-old, the only thing he didn't do wrong was nothing, you know. It was just like, I mean, what more you can expect?
A perfect weekend from him. What does a drive like this at Monaco say to you about him?
No, for me, more like he didn't, all the pressure which was on to him, you know. We know by now he can drive, you know. I mean, he won 4 in a row before Monaco, you know, can drive. But then, does he get nervous about it? Now, no. Puts it on pole, you know, does two starts in the race, you know, which is pretty. And that was his weakest point before.
Right.
Just fixed it. In Monaco, of all the places where the start is, I mean, the start is important everywhere, but in Monaco, even with the Mercedes, if you lose the start, the only thing you can do, maybe undercut somebody on the pit stop strategy, but otherwise you cannot overtake, not even a Mercedes. So it's amazing. He just pulled the perfect weekend off, you know.
Let's talk a little bit about the George Russell of it all before we get to your Wanker. I mean, he's potentially a nominee for Wanker of the week is one George Russell, but you know, coming into this track off of the last few races and off of Canada specifically, where he was in the lead and then, you know, the engine blows out, and this is an opportunity for him to start to set the record straight. And he has the kind of weekend that he has. He's really irrelevant for the entire race in terms of any serious contending. He's not even sniffing the lead. He's just hoping for damage limitation. What does this weekend say to you about the state of things over at Mercedes and to the state of the championship?
I would say he was irrelevant in the race because where he started, he in qualifying, he just didn't get it done. And I think he knew going into Sunday that he was on lost ground. So what does it say, state of Mercedes? I don't want to be too negative about the state of Mercedes. I mean, it's down to him now to get his mojo back. These things can be fixed, but it's all down to him how he reacts. And obviously he needs people around him which help him, but I think he has got that. They're a good team. But at some stage, for him it will be, okay, this year it will be Kimi's year. But obviously he's still young, George. He still wants to go racing, so he needs to show something. But for him now to say, okay, I'm just back now as in the beginning, as in Australia. Whoa, that will not be easy. It will take a little bit of time that he recovers, And Kimi now, complete opposite. He wasn't the favorite. All of a sudden, he's the favorite, but he seems to be able to deal with it in a very good way. So not easy for George, but nobody can help him. The only one which can help him, it's himself.
What does a string of wins like this and a series of events like this do to the garage? What does it do behind the scenes? George is the elder statesman in the team, right? He's been there for years. He was part of the program, as was Kimi. But Kimi kind of came in, and it's on paper, this is George's team, and Kimi's here and let him get his sea legs under him. And now that he is at the moment running away with this championship, is there a palpable shift that starts to happen behind the scenes where people start to really rally around Kimi? Does George get isolated? Like, what does this do to a paddock?
I don't think he gets isolated, but for sure the shift of the sympathy of the people in the team is now with Kimi, because he's doing something special. 19-year-old kid, everybody wants to support him. I don't think they isolate George, but for sure, that is where George needs to be strong, because he will now think, oh, everybody's against me. But no, you need to keep the people around you and still motivate them, not get like, okay, but it's understandable that all the people now are sympathetic or support the winner, because he did something very special, Kimi, But that doesn't mean that they don't like George anymore. But George needs to believe that as well, not only us, So I think they're where it is. But in the team, they still respect George. But you can imagine how these people feel. This kid coming along and winning 5 races in a row for them. How
right?
They all want to be associated with him. And
right.
not saying that they don't like George anymore, but if there is a favorite in the team, even if this is only 1% more love he gets, Kimi will get it.
How impressive is what you're seeing from Kimi? Because I've been a skeptic of him, but the proof is seeming to be in the pudding here. I can't help but feel like he is worth all of the hype. He is living up to the hype. Is Kimi Antonelli the next king of Formula One, or has that already happened? Is he already there?
No, I don't think it's there. It can happen. And what is it? I mean, we never have to forget in Montreal, George was leading and the engine let go, so he got some help there winning that, but he's 19. That's what makes it, because in my opinion, I knew that he was good, but I didn't expect him to be this good, So is he the next king? You can talk clearly here. Is he the next Max Verstappen replacement? I think we need to wait a little bit longer and give him the time to do that one. Because, I mean, if he continues like this, for sure he is. But then again, we shouldn't, just say it is. But I mean, but it's amazing because I didn't have him on my list like he came out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Monaco feels like it's one of those tracks. I mean, you have to be flawless, especially, for qualifying, and it's one of these tracks where on paper, the Mercedes advantage doesn't matter as much. This was a track that people were saying if there's ever a track for Ferrari to do well this year, it's going to be Monaco. Obviously, Max Verstappen pulls out miracles in Monaco, and he was on provisional pole before Kimi snatched it. It's just it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable stuff. If you're Toto Wolff, what are you telling each of them?
I don't think you need to tell them. I mean, obviously with George, you need to make sure that he gets the support he needs and from everyone, including Toto. But I don't think you need to tell anything to Kimi. The guy is so good that he knows that, and he has got his family around. He's well looked after, very grounded guy, very grounded family, So if I would be Toto, I wouldn't worry about Kimi. I would more worry that George keeps his energy in there. As much as we say he will, but at some stage, maybe let's go, and he needs to support George a little bit, saying, hey, you can do this and come back, because what Toto wants, and he has got two very good drivers, so he doesn't want to lose any of them.
Well, unless Max Verstappen comes a calling, but we'll get to that in a second. Support from the show comes from Hims. Listen, you've got better things to do with your day than sit at a doctor's office talking about your hairline, okay? That is where Hims offers access to expert-backed hair loss treatments entirely online. Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medications, serums, and sprays. Their doctor-trusted ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil can stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. And so, for simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/redflags. That's hims.com/redflags for your free online visit. hims.com/redflags. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. All right, your rock star for Monaco, it's Kimi Antonelli. Seems appropriate. Guenther, who was your wanker for Monaco?
Give me a few ideas.
I mean, there's the FIA.
We can't. We have to stop to give it to the FIA because they are in the Hall of Fame of wankers, So they're
wanker of the month. Their poster, their picture is on the wall every single week. But this was an especially egregious week for them, was it not? I mean, there were over a dozen penalties. In theory, the whole thing with the why the speed limit thing happened was partially maybe because they added the Cadillac, motorhome or whatever. They added the Cadillac so that now they cut through and the sensors and the blah, 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 but you had free practice 1, free practice 2, free practice 3, and qualifying to figure this shit out, don't you? And then on top of all of that, a crater forms on the track.
Yeah, but I mean, the crater has nothing to do with the FIA. I mean,
who's responsible for the crater? Who takes the blame for that?
I think it's the track owner, but obviously the FIA is responsible to inspect the track to make sure it's safe.
Right.
They've got some. In the end, yes, but I think we get to the penalties, to the speeding penalties now, or you want to do that later? Because that is the
who else could be wanker? I mean,
exactly,
I think that George Russell, I think his weekend was a total mess. At the end there, he's backing up the pack, trying to get a safety car. He's lining up. He got lucky by not getting the penalty for lining up what looked like off of his grid spot. I mean, is it? I don't think you put blame on Charles Leclerc or you put blame on Lance Stroll for those crashes because the track was sinking underneath their fucking wheels. They might blame the brakes, and we'll get into that as well. But I mean, who else could it be?
Yeah, exactly. There was nobody because I would say George. I mean,
Okay.
as much. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
yeah,
because if you think your teammate dominates the race, you should at least become second. No, you finish up 13th or 12th, whatever George was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because he should do better than that. Maybe he learns out of this being called the wanker of the week. So.
Well, it's interesting because I was, we've heard now a couple times he didn't like Miami. George doesn't like the Miami track. And George hasn't been particularly relevant in Monaco ever. And kind of like, George doesn't like Monaco. But, last year we were looking at him like, is he the second best driver in Formula One? Is he second only to one Max Verstappen? And to me, it's unacceptable that you have these tracks where you're just nowhere.
Yeah, but also, he doesn't like it. It doesn't mean that you need to be bad at it, I mean, you're a professional driver. You don't like it, but you still need to perform. Not liking it doesn't give you an excuse not to be performing. That's my view on it, There's a lot of things we don't like, but we still have to do them, So if I don't like it, I've got an excuse not to perform. No. You're a professional driver. You need to perform everywhere. Obviously, you cannot perform always at the same level. I understand that because sometimes but not liking something doesn't mean that you are entitled not to perform. No. If you're a pro, don't like it, but still perform. I mean, you cannot like it because there is stuff, we all don't like to go to places, but I still have to do my job. Because if the engineer doesn't like Miami, is he allowed not to perform? No. He has to do the same job.
I mean, at this point, George, has he only been on one podium this year? No, he got a podium
Australia.
in China.
Yeah.
He won Australia. He got second in China.
Huh.
But since then
that was it, though.
He has not been on a podium.
Yeah. That's not good enough in a Mercedes, so.
It's a 65-point gap, and you're in the outright best car. You've only been on 2 podiums for the entire season. It is unacceptable.
Yeah. George, pull your socks up.
That's right. Okay. I want to talk about some other aspects of the race. Let's get into these penalties. Let's get into the chaos that was Monaco. What the hell happened there, Guenther? Who's to blame?
I still don't know what happened, and I'm really looking forward. Hopefully they disclose something when Alpine gets the right of review, if they get the right of review, if they've got new evidence. Otherwise, they will not get it, and we will never know what happened because nobody actually, as far as I know, explained properly what happened. I don't know if anybody knows, and I haven't made any phone calls trying to find out, but
we did a lot of research. I'm glad we have our Formula One insider here, Guenther, and you're not making calls and trying to figure out.
I was traveling yesterday. I was on an aeroplane yesterday. So,
okay, were you in? You were in Monaco, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Monaco. Yeah, I was there.
Okay, and you couldn't have, knocked on a few doors and figured out what's going on.
After the race, it was. You don't find anybody after the race because I think a lot of people haven't found out what actually happened, to be honest, because it's the weirdest thing.
The race was reporting that they, how they track the speed limit is based off of these sensors that, from point A to point B to point C to point D, blah, blah, blah. And because they've added the Cadillac motorhome, now the path that you can take there is not as clearly defined. You can kind of cut a corner. And by cutting the corner, you actually maybe were technically going the right speed limit, but because it's not like the cars all of a sudden don't go. They have the button they press, and then the cars go to the right speed limit. But because of now this new path to the pits, they were all cutting the corner, and so those sensors were reading them as going too fast. That's what the race was reporting.
But that sounds still strange to me because they all said they pressed it at the right time, the speed limiter. So the speed limiter is at the right time. It's just because how many times have you lately heard about too fast in the race? I mean, these teams, they're not stupid. I mean, you don't have to deal with amateurs. That is what they do, And point one, so something, I don't know if something has changed from Saturday to Sunday, because on Saturday and Friday, when they test the speed limiter, they would have found out. But all of a sudden, on Sunday, they do something different. But I don't know if the drivers did something different. I find that one very strange that the drivers did something different. Did they not check it on with the FIA before? Or did they introduce something else? And that is what I say. It's not as clear-cut as saying, because of this. So why did they not find it out on Friday? Because the drivers come in red hot. They try all this out. It's in the protocol of every race team to check the speed limiters I don't know how many times. This is not something which is taken lightly because the consequences.
Yeah, well, the consequences are massive because Pierre Gasly could have gotten a podium.
Yeah, he got fucked, basically, yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely tragic for him. I mean, in that car, given the year that, the last couple years that they've had, for him to be able to, at Monaco, pull this performance out of his ass and deserve to be on that podium and then have 10 seconds of penalties coming his way. Obviously, they're appealing that. What do you think is going to happen with that appeal? Is there any there?
It's not an appeal. It's the right of review. You need to get the right of review. You need to bring new evidence, material which the stewards didn't have at the time when they made the decision. So I don't know what new evidence they could have now, which wasn't there before. So if there is no new evidence, you're thrown out and that's it. It is what it is. And also what we need to be careful here, because there was a lot of other people which got a penalty. Exactly. So if they find that there was something wrong with the system measuring it, so all the other teams, I don't know what they do. All the penalties were. And for that to happen, I would find I'm very doubting that the FIA would go there to say, okay, we did something wrong here. They will find everything to say we did everything right, you know?
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna pop into Matt mode for a second. I mean, Guenther, there's no way that they're gonna say that because they're gonna cover their ass. They're gonna cover their ass because we got a million guys got 5-second penalties. So it's the conspiracy on, Guenther. Is the conspiracy on? Can you explain this to me?
I mean, I didn't know that you had a mat in you, so to start off with, So I wouldn't say a conspiracy, son, but and it's easy. It would be easy to do to see if you take, and you never find it because some had a pit stop where they had to hold the car for 5 seconds, So I don't know what it would create here.
Well, I have all the penalties, the 5-second penalties that were, called during this race. 5 seconds for Lewis on lap 34, 5 seconds for Russell on lap 38, 5 seconds for Colapinto on lap 43, 5 seconds for Gasly on lap 53, Lance Stroll 5 seconds on lap 54, Oscar Piastri 5 seconds on lap 53, and then a second 5 seconds for Pierre on lap 67. So Pierre got hit twice, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys with 5-second penalties in this race. So where if Gasly gets his right of review and it gets overturned, then everyone else is going to want to throw their hat into the ring. So I mean, I have to assume that they're going to do everything in their power to throw this thing out because they don't want the headache of everyone coming for their 10 cents.
Right. Exactly. And then what you do, because most of these people serve the 5 seconds in the pit stop, and that doesn't mean that you've got 5 seconds penalty. It means if you come out behind a different car, you lose time in the in the queue, So it's, I don't know. Let's wait and see.
Isn't this embarrassing for Formula One though? Because Guenther, they're trying to make this sport like mainstream. They're trying to make this like they've done this huge deal with Apple. They're trying to turn this into a true global sport where it's where it's truly relevant, where it's not a second fiddle. Because let's be honest, even in the UK, football reigns king. In the US, basketball, football, baseball. I mean, there's a ton of competition. Like for this sport to truly be mainstream, you have to give your new fans who they've done all this stuff for, right? They've done so much stuff for the new fans. And yet this is the product that you're giving them on track. They tune into the Monaco Grand Prix and there's 85 penalties and no one knows what the hell is going on. Like, this cannot, like, this is a mess, isn't it?
It is a mess, but see the positive, because it is a mess. People talk about it. I'm not saying
Sure,
it's right.
Fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Listen.
Exactly.
I'm having a good
I'm not
time
saying it's
watching it.
right.
I'm having a good time. But like, if I was trying to bring in a friend of mine who's been kind of Formula One curious, right? Let me dip my toe into Formula One, and I say, come watch this race. Like, this is chaos. And not necessarily in the good way. Not necessarily in the good way.
No, they get a penalty and nobody knows why, really. Nobody understands it. There was not a penalty like this, I don't know since how many years. And then the racetrack falls apart, you know. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right, I mean, but...
Also, here's another question, Guenther. Why didn't they know Lance Stroll crashed and they didn't seem to want to look at maybe why? They had to wait for Charles Leclerc to crash in order to figure out that the track was, you know, folding in under itself. And Sergio Perez was on the radio 15, 20 laps earlier saying, you know, it's starting to break apart here at turn whatever. Why did they need Charles Leclerc, the hometown hero, to crash before they did something about the crater that was forming?
I just think they tried to get away with it with Stroll. I didn't know that they knew about it, that Checo said it on the radio. I wasn't aware of that one, you know. So, it's, if they knew about it, but you always hope it will be all right. And it was not on the, on the racing line, but it's still, when you overtake or something, you're getting on there and
it's such a small track that it's like
exactly.
a racing, you know, it's
almost
like
unavoidable. Exactly.
Right.
And it fall apart, obviously, because cars drove over it. If nobody would drive over it, why would it fall apart?
It was
exactly so. Yeah,
it was through wear and tear, which means that it was people were driving over it.
People running over it, you know. So I don't know why they waited for so long, and I liked the inspection of the race director with his foot. You know, he didn't even kneel down to look at it. He was with his foot scratching on it. You know, it's like, all right then. You know?
I know, they were just kicking the fucking asphalt to the side of the road. I was like, is this really the best that we can do? Is this guy in his, you know, Gucci loafers kicking the asphalt to the corner?
Yeah, exactly. It was quite funny, you know. And then obviously the internet exploded with spectators filming what was going on, actually, you know. So,
right. Yeah. For this sport, why is Formula One sometimes such a clown show, Guenther?
I don't know.
It's the smartest people in the world. They have the most money. They have more money than God. And they have apparently the smartest people in the world with regards to, you know, tracks, tires, aerodynamics, engines, and yet we get the clown show that was Monaco. It's just like, it's unbelievable.
It's I think nobody, I mean, as you say, the smartest people look at the cars, how good they are, how sophisticated these machines are. But people forget to look at the basics. Where is the car actually driving at, you know? And I think there is a discrepancy of the federation and the teams. The teams, because they have got so much money, they are so much far advanced, but obviously they are not going to look after the racetrack. They don't care. They look after what they need to look after. And, you know, that's why I said it before. I really would like to understand properly what happened there with the speed limit. Because this is the smartest people in the world, and I cannot believe that on Friday, they didn't try Friday and Saturday, they waited until Sunday to get a penalty. But why were they not told? Because it's always check the speed limit, you know. I don't get it. I mean, it's beyond me. I'm not smart enough, basically, you know.
That's maybe why they need you back in there, Guenther, because sometimes you need sometimes people are so smart that they're stupid.
I'm stupid without being smart, yeah.
That's right. All right, well, we touched on Charles Leclerc there a second ago. Let's discuss a few things. Let's discuss his race. Let's discuss his race in comparison to one Lewis Hamilton. And then let's discuss this contract re-signing, because Charles has re-upped his contract a few years ahead of schedule. He is now seemingly going to be there for the rest of his life. What did you make of Charles re-signing with Ferrari?
He got a life sentence, what you're saying, no? Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He checked himself into the asylum, and now there's no getting out.
No getting out anymore for Charles, no?
Yeah.
I think also in the moment where he is, I think it's the best option for him. And I think there is also the loyalty comes into place. I think the only option would have been maybe Aston Martin, but yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to be a big believer to believe that will go the right way, you know? So all the other ones, I don't think there is a lot of alternatives around. And, you know, Ferrari has done a lot for Charles. Obviously, Charles has done a lot for Ferrari as well. Don't forget that. So they are together a long time. They made it possible that he comes into Formula One because they supported him in junior categories and all that stuff. And being at Ferrari is not a bad place to be, you know? And obviously, he wants to win a world championship. And if he gets it done, he will become a legend, you know? So I think he did the right thing to stay there. Because, you know, is it the best chance to get or to be a world champion? With all the other, I mean, he cannot get into Mercedes, because if Mercedes takes somebody else, it will be Max Verstappen. We all know that. That's my opinion. Going to Red Bull, if Max leaves, why is he leaving if the Red Bull is the best? So you're going to a team where the other guy, the best guy, doesn't want to stay, so why should you go there? You're at Ferrari. You know, he has got, I mean, life is good for him, you know. He's well respected there. Yeah, I think he did everybody else would have done the same. The logic thing he did, you know. It was unemotional. This is the logic thing to do in his position.
Well, okay, but then here's my own, I'm going to push back on this a little bit, because he was already there until 2029. 2028, 2029. He was already there for a few more years. He had, in theory, a few more years to wait it out. See how the power dynamic is in Formula One in a couple of years, but he kind of jumped the gun and re-upped before. No one was thinking, oh, like, and Charles's contract is coming up, what's going to happen? He was already there long term, and then he already re-ups. To me, it feels like this was a bonehead decision, because you didn't even need to make it now. Why not wait a year or two and see how the Ferrari project is developing, see if this is really the place where you can win a championship, and see where the rest of the board is come 2027, 2028.
I think you forgot he just got married, and he wanted to make sure that he has got the income to put bread on the table for the next 5 years, not only the next 2 years.
I think he's...
You know?
Okay. I think he's doing pretty good. I think he was doing pretty good before that.
No, without joking.
Yeah.
Well, why has he done it? I mean, maybe they spoke, without maybe. They talked it through, and they decided, this is what I want to do the rest of my, as you said, the rest of my life. This is now his career. It will end up, the chances that it ends up there is 90%, you know. So, you know, maybe he knows something we don't know, what is coming there, you know. So we all take decisions, and he has got a very good manager, in my opinion, with Nicola Todd. He will advise him to do the right thing instead of taking big risks, and maybe, because taking another opportunity, it's risky as well. Because if you say, the only thing where you are maybe right is like, why do you do it now and not in 1.5 years or in 1 year, you know, or maybe even 2 years, 28, you know, they're right, yeah, 2 years. Like, why you do that one now? Maybe he looked at that, and they analyzed what is around in 2 years, and is that a bigger risk than to stay there? And then you say, hey, de-risk it, get a contract, you're at Ferrari, you're one of the best, maybe not the best, but it could be the best in 3 or 4 years. Let's do that one. I think it would have been as simple as this, and I think we're just overthinking it.
Okay. Well, now he's got this 41-year-old teammate who's starting to, eat his lunch, because let's talk about a little bit about what you
maybe
saw
he
from
waits
Lewis
until
Hamilton.
he goes again, so he didn't want, because I don't know how long Lewis stays around. I don't think Lewis stays around until 2030. What was it? He extended to 2031 or 2. I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know if we know all the specific details, but it's another extension. He was there at least until 28, 29, so you'd have to imagine it's into the 30s. Although Lewis seems like doesn't want to go anywhere, and he's starting. And this is Charles Leclerc track. This is Monaco. This is the home. He grew up on these streets. No one, in theory, is faster around one lap around Monaco than Charles Leclerc, and yet Lewis Hamilton, 41 years old, Kim Kardashian at the track, pips him in qualifying, gets second in the race. What are your thoughts there? Are you getting on the Lewis hype train with Matt and I?
I wouldn't say it's on the hype train, but he's doing a lot better than he did last year. And you can see it. He's enjoying himself. And fair play to the guy. He did it all himself, And there was a lot of criticism last year to stop it. In the moment, I think nobody can suggest that one. The guys bring the performance, what is needed at his age, Whoever it is, if it is Kim Kardashian which pushes him, I don't know.
Did you see Kim while you were there, Guenther? Did you have any interference
I saw
with
her.
Kim?
Yeah. She didn't stop to say hello to me, but hey, I'm all right with that, So
she listens to the pod. She just didn't want to make it weird.
Okay, she doesn't. She was surrounded by 50 people anyway, so So
what any other celebrity sightings? Who was the most notable celebrity that you saw while you were there?
Kim Kardashian, because I actually didn't go onto the grid. Because there was too many people. I went up there and said, I'm not going in there. No.
Yeah.
No. You couldn't move.
Too chaotic.
Too chaotic, I went back and watched the MotoGP race instead.
There we go.
You see, I had to do some work. Yeah, good.
That's right.
Exactly.
He's a real motorsport head, unlike all you posers.
So posers going up there to the grid to be seen on TV, yeah. Right,
That's right. Okay, so the brakes. Charles's brakes afterwards, he didn't care about the crater that was forming on the track. He said, no, I've been bad the whole time. He said, if I mess up and I've done something wrong, I will take the blame for it, but I'm not taking any of the blame for this. He said he's going to move in Lewis's direction with regards to the brakes. Now, Lewis has a different set of brakes than Charles. What do you make of this whole brake gate out of Monaco? What is wrong with Charles's brakes?
I don't know. And his message was so cryptic. I didn't really understand what he wanted to say with it. Obviously, I understood that he was not happy with his brakes, but Lewis is using different brakes. I go his direction. No, he didn't say he's using different brakes. I go in Lewis's direction. So what is different? I still have no idea. Is he using a different material? Because then obviously Brembo, the brake supplier, came out afterwards. And Brembo, for example, the calipers, Brembo, I think they supply all the teams now. All 11 teams. I think they just, the material, the carbon material, I think there is 2 suppliers left. It's Brembo and another one. So is Lewis using a different material and they didn't give it to Charles? I find that one strange. Why would Ferrari not do that if he wants the other material? So I didn't really understand his message. Also, the rear brakes, I think he mostly focused on the rear brakes. They are very small on F1 cars now because the rear, normally you brake a lot with the electric motor to harvest energy. You use the electric motor to brake the wheels as well. So very cryptic how he spoke, and obviously it didn't go down well with Brembo because they came out with a statement which they normally don't do. Why would they get involved? They're a supplier and they are told what they need to do. And they came out, we don't know about this. So very, very weird, the whole situation. A little bit as weird as these time penalties, of speeding. So we get a clue of it, but the real reason, and I understand why Charles didn't just say it, came to the,
Well,
this is what
it's interesting. Yeah, because it's that Ferrari thing, though, because, there's
Ferrari
always a
thing.
they're tight-lipped. They never say what's actually going on. They're never actually upfront with what's going on behind the scenes.
So now I'm mad now because we miss him. Is this a conspiracy? Tell
That's
me.
right.
Is this, yeah, exactly,
Is this big breaks, Guenther? Can you explain this to me? Guenther? What the fuck is going on with Charles Leclerc's brakes?
Matt, I don't know. Then you have to, why you don't know? You need to know,
Why do you not know this?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah.
Oh, no, one last thing about Charles.
Yeah.
They brought him in during the safety car. And Charles was complaining, why are you bringing him in? Why are we not trying to get track position here? They bring Charles in behind Lewis, who has to serve a 5-second time penalty. So basically, Charles is forced into whatever time penalty that is as well, because he was only a couple seconds behind Lewis on track. Because people are wondering why not leave Charles Leclerc out? Does that not give you the best chance at potentially actually winning the Monaco Grand Prix?
Because then Charles would have been on old tires, and what it would have done, I don't think
it's Monaco. Who cares about old tires?
Yeah, but Lewis was in front. If you bring Lewis, I think they had to bring Lewis in because they got a free 5-second penalty stop. In theory. So if you bring Charles in as well, if you leave Charles out, Lewis falls behind, and that would make him very unhappy. So I think that was the team. I don't think he got a disadvantage out of it because he was still in the same position as when he came in, So, but he obviously Charles wanted to get ahead of Lewis, and the team would not do that, And I think for the team, the best way to secure second and third was to bring Lewis in and Charles. I would go there with the team. To play it as a team, and because otherwise you really would give an advantage to Charles.
Mess up the screw up the behind the scenes things. Okay. I like it. Okay, let's discuss this a duo situation. This has rocked a duo, isn't it? A duo.
A duo. Yeah. The disease.
It's rocked the Formula One world. Let's get Jenny wrote out a nice blurb, which I asked her to write. So let me read it like the good person that I am. Despite winning every race this season so far, the news has broken that Mercedes does not have the fastest engine on the grid, and they'll be actually getting help to improve it. The Duo dynamic, the Duo power rankings have come out, and they have said that Red Bull powertrains is the engine atop the list, and every other manufacturer on the grid will now have extra time on the dyno, extra money to spend, and extra time to improve their engines to get them up to the Red Bull level. This is obviously seems crazy given the dominance of Mercedes this year. What are your thoughts on this whole situation, Guenther?
FIA has got all the information about power. It's pretty simple to do for them. With load cells on the drive shafts and the input shaft, they know exactly what's going on. And if the regulation was written like this is how you have to apply it. You cannot get around. Mercedes is the best car. I think the other manufacturer had the chance to do something different for 27 by developing I call it a new engine or a modified engine, so that the combustion engine will, it would be a 60-40 split. That was the proposal, combustion to electric. They didn't want to do that because they thought they are disadvantaged towards Mercedes and Red Bull. And it seems like in the moment they are just disadvantaged towards Red Bull. And Red Bull haven't got a good car as Mercedes. So, I think if the regulations are written like this, we need to stick with them. And obviously, FIA knows the power level of everyone. It's very simplistic, So all the other people.
How screwed is Red Bull here? How screwed are they?
I mean, I don't think they're screwed because the other ones have to catch up on the engine. But Red Bull needs to work on their car. So. I think for the other ones, being a duo, it regulates how much you can actually do, how many more runs you have got. So it's not like it's not a given that now Mercedes will be better than the Red Bull engine, But they get a chance to do it.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt them. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So for sure. And all the other ones is an opportunity. I think the better opportunity for the other ones would have been to go with a new engine. If you can think you can catch up with the people which are doing a good job now, why you don't think you can do a better job doing a new engine? So.
Was there, people are now thinking there's a little bit of, that they knew ahead of time, maybe some of the teams maybe got some whiffs at how they were going to test these engines, that there was a little bit of, okay, let's make sure that our engines are, slow to get up on the testing day. Are you buying into any of that? Is there any, found...
Because the data which the FIA takes is during the race over the period of the races. So you wouldn't go slow for 6 races just to get an ado advantage, That doesn't work. It's the same like with the wind tunnel time, You wouldn't have bad results just to get more wind tunnel time, because getting more wind tunnel time or more engine time on the dyno, it is not 100% that you actually will find something. You still have to do the work. So you would take a disadvantage not knowing if you can have an advantage afterwards.
Okay, so this is from Auto Racer Italia. Mercedes is reportedly 2% behind Red Bull, Ferrari over 4%, Audi 4 to 6%, and Honda 6 to 8%. So Honda will obviously get the most time and money to spend on this. Audi second most in theory, Ferrari third most, and then Mercedes will have the least of the rest of those runners. That's right.
Yeah. They get some Adua.
Then I guess here's my question. Then, so this only hits the engine, correct? This isn't necessarily the power unit. This isn't the battery.
No, this is just a combustion engine. Yeah.
So what makes Mercedes? So if Red Bull's got the best combustion engine, why are they where does Mercedes excel in the other aspects of the power unit and the totality of where the power is coming from that Red Bull clearly doesn't?
I think it excels just how they use the electric power, more efficient, nothing different. And I just think the car is a better car. That makes a difference. And they are very close together anyway, everybody, So, I mean, the Red Bull, as you say, thinking that they've got an advantage on the engine, they're quite a bit behind, So, but it's, I think Mercedes has got the advantage as a company. Mercedes is a car company, and they're doing a lot of development in EV, electric vehicles, and maybe they've got some technologies there which Red Bull has not access to, because Red Bull doesn't make cars or electric cars. And obviously they took engineers from Mercedes from the engine side, but maybe Mercedes has got some help from the car manufacturer with the electric stuff, and that helps them.
Support for the show comes from Factor. Eating healthy is time-consuming, time that you do not have. So what do? Starve? No. Not really your style. Instead, why not try Factor? They provide fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, ready in 2 minutes, no planning, no cooking. With Factor, every meal is crafted with functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats, just nutrient-dense food. You can get a fresh, never frozen meal with over 100 rotating weekly options, including globally inspired flavors, so there's always something new to look forward to. You can even try newly launched ready-to-eat salads with vibrant ingredients like elote corn and miso edamame. Plus, Factor meals have no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils, meals that fit your goals and schedules, and that can help with healthier eating and calorie management. Head to factormeals.com/Vankah50off and use code Vankah50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscriptions only while supplies last until September 27th, 2026. See website for full details. All right, let's move on to our favorite segment, Gas or Brake.
From Connor Sullivan 93. George will recover and win the WDC.
Brake. I think that train has left the station. Kimi is too strong. I was the same last year, I know, with Oscar, but I think this is more dominant than Oscar was last year. This is a step above what Oscar showed last year. The kid meaning Kimi, is just doing a phenomenal job. So I think for George winning the championship, it's not going to happen anymore this year.
I'm going lift and coast.
Oh,
I'm going slight gas. I still think that George has a chance. I still think there's a lot of season left. I still think at some points Kimi's going to get screwed by the racing gods. I think that George still is not fully out of this thing. So do I think that the odds are low and getting lower by the second? Yes, but I'm not counting George out of this championship yet. I made that mistake last year. I'm not going to make it again. George still has a chance to pull this thing off. You think about that.
yeah, it's basically very non-committal, very political answers. You're too long in Formula One,
All right, yeah. Call me. I'm a political operator. Yeah, I'm still giving him a chance. I'm thinking about throwing some money on George Russell. Let me just say that I'm thinking about throwing a little bit of.
You're thinking of. You're not going to do it. Yeah.
No, I haven't. I've got time. I might put my money where my mouth is. You just wait and see. Next prompt.
From Free Pablo, Charles Leclerc will never be world champion.
Whoa, that's a brutal one. Whoa. Whoa.
Well, he just signed for. He's re-upped.
Yeah.
He's made his bed. So what's it going to be like in there?
Gas. I think he will never be a world champion at Ferrari. Wow. Because the next years, we can see very difficult for winning the next 2 years. And then the next Charles Leclerc will come to Ferrari, the next young Kimi Antonelli, and take him. Will take the meat from the plate, That's what I say. Yeah, gas. As much as I don't like it, but that is what I think.
I am going gas as well. I think even right now, Lewis is looking like he's back online. Who knows how long Lewis stays around for? And exactly as you said, Guenther, it comes for all of us. When Charles Leclerc first got there, who was his teammate? One Sebastian Vettel. He ran him out of town. And then you look at who Ferrari's competition is. Mercedes-Benz, who have come out with this new regulation set and look to be dominant and holding that dominance. Who knows how good they'll continue to be with their young superstar? And then McLaren, who have the best in-season development team on the grid. I see the two of them, and then who knows when Red Bull can get back online. It's just the competition is too tough, and I just don't think it happens at Ferrari. I think he would need to go elsewhere to be world champion, but he's made his bed with Ferrari, and I think he might go down as another Ferrari great who never has a WDC, unfortunately.
Correct. I agree.
Next prompt.
From MoveFat, Toto shouldn't have been on the podium given Mercedes compromised George's race.
Brake. I mean, whoa. I
He had a penalty to serve, Guenther. He had a penalty to serve, and they just threw his tires on. And so then he went from being fifth, fourth,
but don't blame,
to being out of the points. And then he's on the podium celebrating like he's the happiest guy that's ever lived. While your other drivers in hell.
Yeah, but Toto is not a guy which normally goes on the podium, so I think it was a good thing for him to go up there. But George didn't help himself to get the penalty in the first place,
Of course.
And Toto didn't make the decision to throw the tire on straight away. So, that's getting a little bit personal towards Toto. I have no problem to say he's wrong when he's wrong, but I found it quite, sometimes for him, for sure, it was a good moment. He lives in Monaco. Kimi won his 5th race. He took Kimi from when he was 11 years old. And that sometimes you enjoy it. I think it was completely acceptable or actually pretty cool that he went on there. Because first of all, Toto is on there. Because he's not the type which wants to go on a podium, So, obviously for him it meant something special, and that's why I don't think the reasons the prompter said, he shouldn't go on there. Jenny, that's the right. Prompter, yeah.
Well, this is from Instagram follower.
Yes,
the name is MoveFat, Moophat. He was whoever that is. I don't know their gender. They sent this prompt.
I think Toto should have been on.
I'm going gas. I think, don't you want to, if you're Toto Wolff and you're trying to, I don't know, not play favorites, and if you're trying to keep harmony behind the scenes, don't you want to go on a podium when you have a 1-2? Don't you want to go up there when it's a real all-around Mercedes day? This just feels like it's more of the Kimmy's the favorite son. George is the stepchild that I never fucking wanted and I never fucking loved. And look no further than how happy I am to be on a podium with my two favorite drivers, one Lewis Hamilton and one Kimi Antonelli. It's not that crazy to think that at some point this year, the podium will be Kimi, George, Lewis. That is a very real possibility for a podium this year. You would think that that's at the head of the team, you would maybe wait for that moment, as opposed to, your boy Wonder wins this race and your other boy gets a 5-second time penalty. That was bullshit. Like, we could say that all of them were bullshit. I don't think that was his fault. Now listen, George got lucky by not getting a penalty in the very beginning of the race for lighting up, but he didn't get that penalty. And then they bring him into the whatever. It was chaos. He comes into the pits. They tell him to stay out. They have the tires there, but they don't serve the penalty there. Then he has to do a drive-through penalty and doesn't get any points. And his championship title is that much more out of reach. This was a fuck up on some level from, of course, George, but also Mercedes. To me, it is bad vibes to have the head of the team up there celebrating while your one driver is on cloud 9 and the other driver is in hell. I think it's a bad look.
But it's Monaco. I mean, whatever you say, but it's you forget that one.
What even is every person that I know who's gone to Monaco talks? They're like, it sucks. Monaco, they hate it. They're like, it's Rodeo Drive on the water. It's just like it's.
I fully agree with you, but it's still Monaco. A lot of people think it's the greatest, best ever, and therefore he was on there, and the prince was there with Toto, So you pay respect to the prince.
This is rich guy shit.
Yeah, he lives rich guy there, Toto. Keep on offending Toto, and he will never show up on your podcast. So.
All right, next prompt.
From Rich Gillis 10. George will never win a WDC.
Gas. I think if he doesn't win this year, he will go with Charles not win one, I think so. As much as I don't like to say that, but if Kimi wins this one, Kimi will stay just, very similar when Lewis came to Mercedes, he kept on winning. He lost one against Nico. But otherwise, he was pretty much in control. It's like, woo, yeah.
I am going brake on 2 conditions.
The politician is coming back.
If he doesn't win this year, it's going to be really tough for him. But for a few reasons, which is going to be a part of our next prompt. Because if he doesn't win this year and he gets replaced, then it's totally over. But I could see him pulling a Nico Rosberg if he is able to stay at Mercedes and going crazy and like ruining his own life in order to get that WDC. Nico Rosberg has talked about how George is the most similar to him of any other driver on the grid, and I could see him pulling off some type of 2016 situation if he's allowed to stay at Mercedes, but that's a big if. So I give that a slight break. Next prompt.
From Schmevy B, Max will replace Russell at Mercedes next year.
Break. I don't think that will happen. Max will not replace George. Why would Toto bring in Max now when he has got the biggest future talent in his place? So that would just, you pay a lot of money to get, I think Max is the best in the moment, but at some stage somebody will be better, and for sure Kimi at some stage will be better than him. But why would he bring in now somebody like Max, and then he gets a competition and they maybe both lose? So, I think to bring Max in now, that is not what Toto will do. Toto is too smart to do that.
I am going gas under the condition that George really doesn't. If George doesn't, if George is nowhere this year and it continues like this, I think it's too shiny of an object for Toto to not want to grab. To have the current and the future of Formula One on your team, it's shiny. He lives in Monaco, Guenther. He likes
He was on
nice
the podium
things.
in Monaco. Exactly, yes.
He likes nice things, and Max
yeah.
Verstappen's a nice thing.
Yeah. It's a trophy.
nice,
Max, yeah,
nice
and he's very
That's
good.
Right. That's
very
right.
good, yeah. No.
All right, last prompt.
From Sarah E. Truitt, Lewis will win his next race before Charles does.
Break. I think Charles will pull off a Charles weekend like he does sometimes, where you think, where is this coming from? Normally it's Monaco. He didn't do it this year. Obviously, we saw that, But I think the next Ferrari victory will be Charles. Just because Charles sometimes has a weekend where you think, where is this coming from? He can do things nobody else can do.
I'm going gas. I agree that Charles can pull out miracles, but I feel like he pulls out those miracles on Saturday, and then comes Sunday, those miracles seem to go away. This Ferrari doesn't have that outright pace that these other cars have, so I think it's going to need to be a gritty win. I think it's going to need to be a win that has a lot of experience involved in it, and I think Lewis Hamilton is now primed and ready to be able to take that when the moment arrives. I think Lewis is here and here to stay, baby. Okay, that does it for Gas or Brake. Barcelona is coming up. Guenther, we have Matt's predictions. Matt is in Rome, but he sent in his predictions. I'm going to play them right now.
Buongiorno, Vankers. It's me, Matt, coming to you live from the motherfucking Trevi. And I got a death grip on my phone because apparently this is the pickpocket capital of the world. And the spirit of Italy, the spirit of pickpockets, I am going to go, my race prediction, I'm going to go with the pickpocket himself, Attenzione Pickpocket, Kimi Antonelli, who is pickpocketing the fuck out of this championship. He's going to win the next race in Spain. I think George Russell's going to continue to be in the championship cuck chair at number 2. And I think McLaren, they can't keep fucking this up. I think they have a strong package. They showed me something. I think it was Miami. They showed me something. They look like they might be on top of something. They've had some bad luck. I think Lando Norris is going to get third. And so that's my prediction. Ciao.
Okay. He's got Kimi 1, George 2, and Lando 3. Who do you have?
First of all, I think the pickpockets need to be afraid of Matt. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. I turned it around. George, Kimi, and I've got Lando as well on number 3.
Okay. You think George is coming back?
Yeah.
You think George?
Yeah. And Kimi just says, hey, I take it a little bit easier. I don't need to win it all. Keep the guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not really how Kimi Antonelli seems to roll. He doesn't seem to give a fuck about any
He listens to our podcast, and that is what he will be going to do. Yes.
Okay. I am going George, Lando, Oscar. I think that something happens to Kimi. I think Kimi's string of living on top of the mountain, I think something goes down. Something goes wrong. I need big swings in order to make this back, because right now, Guenther, you're leading the championship with 20. Matt has 12. I have 9. I'm in last. Got to take some big swings in order to make this thing happen. George Russell starts the comeback in Spain, baby. We need a championship battle on our hands, Guenther. I can't have it just be Kimi Antonelli running off into the distance. It's not right.
Yeah, no, that's not right. No, you're right. But first, George is winning, so maybe he rekindles himself, for the championship.
That's right.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's right. Well, we will see you next week, Vankahs, with our full team in order. Matt will be back. He'll be here with the craziness. I won't have to, be yelling at Guenther
if they don't steal him in Rome. If they don't steal him in Rome, yeah.
Guenther, they'll steal him and they'll give him right back. They'll say, no,
they give us money if we take them back. I give you whatever. Just take him back, this dude,
That's right.
So
that's right. Well, we'll see you next week, Vankahs. Goodbye.
Goodbye, wankers.